The VO Meter, measuring your voiceover progress. Whether you're a veteran voice actor, just starting out, or don't even know how to set a level, we're here to help you avoid the pitfalls along your voiceover path to success. The VO Meter is brought to you by Global Voice Acting Academy, JMC Demos, Web Interactive Technologies, Fidalgo, Roswell Pro Audio, and Vocal Booth to Go. The VO Meter is produced in part using Source Connect, made by source-elements.com. And now, your hosts, Paul Stefano and Sean Daly.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 126 of the VO Meter.
Measuring your voice over progress. Today we're featuring the other half of the dynamic promo coaching duo, Jack Daniel and Marie Westbrook, and it's Marie who we'll have coming up shortly. But before that, it's time for our...
VoiceOver Extra brings you the VO Meter reference levels. Seriously, guys, that's the best you could come up with? Hey, it's your show.
So, Sean, what's going on in your VO world? Or otherwise. Sometimes it's fun to talk about other stuff, too.
Yeah. Well, first off, happy birthday. I mean, we
thank
both
you.
had a birthday within the last month, so how was yours?
Pretty quiet. It was a Monday, and I had worked the day before. It was Monday, so I worked anyway. It was President's Day, technically, but no rest for the weary, so I had a bunch of sessions. But we celebrated at night with pizza dinner, which is my favorite, and my wife got me a pie because I hate cake, and that was cool.
Awesome. Man after my own heart.
Oh, yeah? You're the same way?
Exactly. I prefer pie over, cheesecake, which is technically pie. So, yeah. I love pie more than cake.
Yeah, so it was nice, and just happy to be another year above the ground as opposed to below it.
Nice. No, I got you. Well, speaking of, I just turned 40 last month, and we also did a quiet sort of like, we had like a late start. We just watched some TV, and then we went... Like, for people who don't know, I'm a big nerd who likes action figures, so we went toy hunting at a new toy store in town, so that was a lot of fun. I got some Spidey figs, a Nightcrawler figure, and the Creeper from Batman. So, voiced by Jeff Glenn Bennett. I highly recommend that episode if you've never seen it.
Oh, cool. And I don't think I have, believe it or not, any questionable gear purchases, so I'll talk about something now. My birthday present was a fully... how do we say it? It's a fully automatic coffee and espresso maker. Super automatic, that's what it's called. So it's I didn't even know these existed outside of like a Starbucks or a Peet's Coffee. But apparently you can just buy these things at home now. It's a machine that has a grinder built in. You put coffee beans in, it will grind the coffee, automatically put it into an internal portafilter. This is for an espresso maker. Internal portafilter, tamp it down, spew the coffee out, and then also will froth milk if you want to. So it's a fully automatic machine, and it's kind of amazing. I didn't realize, like I said, these are out there, and it's kind of what Starbucks has been using for a while now, instead of having the baristas tamp down their own filters. But for a couple $100 to have at home, it's kind of cool. And even got my wife into coffee. She was not a coffee drinker until this month, and suddenly she's drinking coffee every morning too. Cleanup is a little bit messy. I knew this was the case, but because you have to take out all the internals and rinse them out every couple of days so the grounds aren't everywhere. Because I can't even imagine what's going on inside. Like if I had a camera inside, I think it would be like an episode of Fraggle Rock with a bunch of little animals just throwing shit everywhere.
The dozers.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you open it up, there's grounds everywhere and water spewing. So you have to keep the maintenance up. But it's much easier, in my opinion, than having all the manual stuff with the baskets and the filters and dumping out the grounds each time. And I'm kind of in love with it. So if you haven't checked out a super automatic espresso machine, I highly recommend it.
Very cool. Now, it reminds me of before I left Japan, a lot of my my guy friends were going through the stage where it's like they all became coffee aficionados and were getting like expensive espresso machines like that. But that's really cool.
I've done that. I've had about 10 over the last 20 years, much like microphones. One of my other passions has been coffee, and I've bought 1 million coffee makers, which is driven my wife crazy. So she's happy for now that we have one that we can both use, and it's pretty easy.
Awesome.
So anything else on the VO front?
Oh yeah, no. Now it's been interesting. Like last week we had buttload of auditions. This week was pretty quiet until like midweek, and so I kind of used that energy to focus on other projects, which was fine because we had like a dozen GVA workouts, and we had our Tour of Dialects webinar with Tom Antonellis yesterday. That was a lot of fun. Highly recommend him if you're interested in accent work. But other than that, I've been prepping my father-in-law's audiobook. I'm going to start recording that next month. And then I got cast to be a small bit role in the Moxie Monroe in another episode of that audio drama podcast. So that's the one that's sort of like a film noir in a D&D fantasy land. So excited about that. And actually, an exciting development is that Rachel and I got shortlisted for a kids dubbing project. So we're sending in the final auditions today, and then we'll see what they think. And if they like it, we'll record a bunch of episodes together. So we're really excited about that.
Oh, that's really cool. Congratulations. Well,
Thank you.
Fingers crossed, I should say.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I don't want to don't want to jinx it if it's not in the bag yet, but we're optimistic.
Very cool. So for my end of things, I'm doing a lot of recording other people for Twin Flame Studios. Every day this week, I was doing double sessions of 2 hours for each author. So 4 hours a day of sitting at the desk and recording other people, which I don't mind. I like doing it. And I always learn interesting things about usually the business realm because that's what a lot of these books focus on. But the second one this week, really for the last 3 weeks, is about the Bible, which has been interesting too. I've done a lot of religious books myself. So this book is taking one passage of the Bible per day and reading it every single day for 365 days. In fact, it's called Bible 365. So just about reading the Bible every day to keep yourself up on the scriptures if you're into that sort of thing. And that's been interesting. And then, but the coolest thing about this is the author is a retired BBC broadcaster. So he's from the UK or from Britain and worked in the UK house, the BBC house as they call it. I didn't realize everything was called house there. I've been watching a lot of Slow House, the show on Apple TV with Gary Oldman.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or is it HBO? I think it's Apple.
I thought it was Slow Horses. But
Slow Horses. Their office is called Slow House, which is why it's called Slow Horses.
I see.
And this author, Stephen, has been calling the BBC house where they recorded. So that was kind of cool. So the recording is really easy because he's been doing what we're doing right now for much longer than we have as an actual on-air host in the BBC. So he's really good and a joy to record. And then on the personal front, I have my 5th upcoming project, also a kids program that you were talking about with Rachel. This is a kids English language learning program. And this is the 5th module. I think I mentioned it over the summer that my son was working on it first. And it's another one where I got the job because he got it first. So he was
and they needed an adult.
Yeah, he was a little kid. But then I ended up taking over all the adult parts. And the last 3 he hasn't done. It's just me. So he did the first 2, and now it's just me doing all these adult parts. And one is this crazy hooting owl that I have to really kind of change my voice for. And it's a little strenuous. So that's been interesting. But I can usually pull it off because it's only usually about 25 to 30 minutes of audio. I can get that done without killing myself. But I don't know if I ever thanked the person who sent me the referral. I might have, but if not, who cares? I'll do another one. So I got this referral from Lauren McCullough, who I don't know if you ever met, or they were at a lot of the VO Atlantis. That's where we first met.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I think I know. I've met her before.
Yeah. So I found out in VO Atlanta that, or maybe it was Vocation, whatever. I think both, that they live nearby in Hershey, Pennsylvania. So we've stayed in touch, and they sent me this referral, and it's been really lucrative. So thanks again to Lauren. I thanked them personally at Christmas, sent them a little gift, but really want to thank again because now is another one. So every time I get a job from this company, I'm really thankful that I have such great VO friends.
Very cool. Get by with a little help from our VO friends.
Mm-hmm. And then the live announcing front, things are really taking off because it's spring and I do a lot of college sports. So I've done 3 lacrosse games at the Naval Academy already, 2 at Stevenson University, and I just signed up to do baseball with George Mason University, which is another school in the area just outside of D.C., a town called Fairfax, Virginia. So I'm doing baseball for them, and that will start in a couple of weeks. And then I'm also working for the Ripken Baseball Organization, and I know none of this means anything to you, but For people who are sports fans.
Sports ball? What?
Sports ball. So there's an organization entirely dedicated to youth baseball run by Cal Ripken, who was a famous baseball player. He's in the Hall of Fame, which...
I actually recognize that.
You know that guy? Okay.
Yeah.
He happened to be from the Baltimore area, and he played his whole career with the Baltimore Orioles. And then he went and started this youth program for youth travel baseball. So teams come from all over the country to play at these facilities he has. He started out just with one in Aberdeen, which is about 45 minutes north of me towards the Delaware area. But now he has facilities in Pigeon Forge. Is that Tennessee? Tennessee. He has one in Myrtle Beach, in Sandusky, Ohio. So all these facilities. And I'm working at the one in Aberdeen because I already work there. It happens to be in the same location where the Ironbirds, the single-A minor league team, is. So I already work there. But they're technically separate entities. And I was there with my son. He was just playing over last summer. And they have this really great stadium with a fully enclosed press box and loudspeaker system. And I thought to myself, why am I not working here? Like, how have I not contacted them? So I did. I emailed them. And instantly they were like, yes, absolutely. We'd love to have you. So
Brilliant.
I'm on board with them. And I start doing youth tournaments. And some little 12-year-old's going to have the privilege of having a Major League Baseball announcer announcing them coming to the plate. So that'll be cool for them.
Wow, that guy's
And
so
me.
cool. I want to be just like him when I grow up.
I'm hoping that's exactly what's going on in the stadium as it happens.
Well, did you have any like formative moments like that when you heard an announcer growing up?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically why I wanted to be a live announcer, is because of the announcer at the Philadelphia Phillies, a guy named Dan Baker, who's still doing it. He's been doing it since I was like 6 years old. And yeah, he was one of my favorite voices, and I always wanted to do that. And I think I mentioned when I first did the Nationals game, that was kind of like my bucket list of dreams achieved. Like I announced for a Major League Baseball team, and I got to announce the Phillies. So if nothing else ever happens with that, then I'll be able to die a happy man. I'm knocking on wood.
Don't go anywhere yet. This podcast will crumble without you.
And one more thing on the live announcing front, because I forgot to announce this last episode. Maybe it wasn't quite finalized. I somehow managed to convince the campaigns and elections people to let me MC the Reed Awards, which is the national or even international award show for the best in political advertising every year. And
Really?
It's a conference. Thank you. It's a conference they have that ends with an awards gala similar to the One Voice Awards or even the Golden Globes. Pretty elaborate, actually. It's in a ballroom in whatever location they're in. Last year it was in Austin, Texas. The year before it was in Charleston. It's been in Vegas. This year it's back in Charleston. And I've gone the last couple of years just to sort of schmooze and meet people and try and get my voice in front of the people who hire political voices, because that's what these people are. They're all the creatives and marketing people that make political ads. And then last year, after it ended, I contacted them and said, hey, would you be interested in having one of us professional voice actors do the hosting? Because there's always a bunch there, because there's awards for voice actors. I haven't won one, but a lot of our friends have. Like last year, Christy Bowen won one, and Tom Test. Bobby Maxwell, JMC always wins. Who else? Danielle Famble, a lot of our industry friends. So there's a lot of people that are getting awards that we know. And I said, hey, how come one of us isn't doing the actual hosting? Because they have someone up there who works for the company in the past, announcing the awards, presenting them. And I approached them and they said, good idea, let's talk about it. And then the last couple of weeks, we finally finalized it. So I'm hosting. The only stipulation was they wanted somebody else, which I don't mind. They said they wanted a female announcer to balance things out. So they let me put out feelers to a bunch of people that I thought would be good. Because I asked for this. I said, yeah, that's great, but can I recommend some people? And they said, sure. So I put together a short list, and they selected Casey Hott. Have you met Casey?
I don't think so.
So I think she's newish to voiceover, but she's kind of skyrocketed the last couple of years. I first met her at Mavo last year, and she's a former TV news anchor in Richmond, Virginia.
Wow.
So she has lots of on-camera and mic experience. I think that's why it was pretty easy for her to get going. But she's blown up since then. She's presenting at View Atlanta this year, and she's going to be my co-host for the Reed Awards in Charleston. So if you're in town for those and you're listening, please come say hi and heckle me and Casey. We'll have fun. So I think that's it for the VO meter reference levels, unless you have something else.
Nope, that's pretty much it. All right, so that wraps up our VO-meter reference levels. Paul and I were good boys this month and actually didn't buy anything. So maybe because we got enough gifts from our loved ones. But stay tuned for Marie's interview after these messages.
Walgreens, because it's flu season, and you live in a place with doorknobs and handrails and, people.
We tried booking a vacation rental on one of those other websites. They don't always tell you everything.
The stars take it to the red carpet.
We are back live from the red carpet.
California leads the way for change in America, and so does Kamala Harris.
Rated M for mature. Claire Redfield.
And who exactly are you?
So, yeah, what hashtag should I use to describe a grown man in a tuxedo wrestling a goat?
And prior to 1933, many of them belonged to a variety of political parties that were now outlawed in Germany.
This is the story of how Q got curly. Quinn was crazy about curls. Curly fries, curly straws, curly-haired dogs.
Hey, Jay Michael here. Thanks for listening to the VO-meter podcast. It's one of my favorites. If you're looking for a great demo like the ones you just heard, check out jmcdemos.com for more information.
Come on. Not again.
What's wrong, Paul?
Just trying to update my website, but I just don't have the skills.
Or the time?
Exactly.
Why don't you just contact Web Interactive Technologies? They have over 20 years of experience helping business owners create and maintain a professional website. Each website is unique, and you can maintain full control or let Web Interactive update it for you. Web and Tech treats every website like it was their own, and they have the knowledge and expertise to make sure you get noticed by the search engines.
Because, like they say, you can have a beautiful website, but if nobody can find you, it's pointless. Contact Web Interactive Technologies today at webintech.com. That's WEBINTECH.com. Or call 410-777-8500. Hey, it's Paul here with an endorsement of Bidalgo. I've been a member of Bidalgo for almost 10 years now. I remember putting in an application when I first started, getting a personal reply from Armin Hirschstetter, the founder, and being blown away by the personal service. Turns out that's just how he runs the business. Honestly, efficiently, and with great customer service. Bodalgo focuses on voice seekers rather than voice talents. Their award-winning online casting finds the perfect voice for every project. There's more than 12,000 professional voice actors, free casting, and it's insanely easy and fun to use. Thanks, Bodalgo, for being a sponsor of the VO-meter. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the interview portion of this episode of the VO-meter. Today, we're pleased to welcome Marie Westbrook. Starting out as a physics major, space camp counselor, and teaching 8th grade science, Marie came into the world of acting unexpectedly. She started her voiceover career in Seattle in 2005. Not long after, Marie relocated to Los Angeles, where a major role in Star Wars: The Old Republic led her to shift her focus from on-camera work to voiceover. Her career spans from video games to commercials, anime, animation, narration, promo, and trailer, with notable roles in games and anime, including Microsoft Flight Simulator, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Cyberpunk Edge Runners. She has also recently entered the con world. You can hear Marie in countless commercials and promos, including the promo voice for Star Wars Ahsoka and the commercial voice of Bloomberg. Marie is among the few women making strides in the trailer world, with credits including Lightyear and the Oscar-winning film Women Talking. Despite her busy career, one of Marie's favorite roles remains being a mother to her 6- and 8-year-old children. She is always in pursuit of a healthy work-life balance and is grateful for the opportunity to show her kids that it's possible to have a successful career doing something you love. So please join us in welcoming Marie Westbrook.
Thank you.
Our pleasure, Marie. It's so good to have you on the podcast.
Oh, so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, just you wait.
I know, you might regret that.
Okay, duly noted.
But while you're still enjoying yourself, tell us how you got started, Marie.
I got started in a very, I don't know if I'd say untraditional, because I feel like there are a lot of people who kind of stumble into careers or worlds that they weren't expecting. So I was teaching school, but I got into acting, and I was in the on-camera world while I was in college. I was taking some classes, but I finished my career and was teaching school. And then I decided to stop teaching school. I was teaching 8th grade science and sort of pursue this acting thing. I was living in Salt Lake at the time, which has there was a lot of filming going on. I mean, I believe there still is, but at that time there's a lot of tax incentives and things like that. So I was able to get my SAG card there, and then I ended up moved to Seattle, and that's where I booked my first voiceover project, which was Nintendogs. It was a game trailer. And that was through my on-camera agent. They sent me a commercial audition, a voiceover audition. And I almost didn't do it. Because this was 2005. I had no idea how I was going to record it. I didn't have a home studio, and most people didn't at that time. So I had to find somebody to record it for me. I didn't know what I was doing. I had to get it on the CD and then drive it over to the agency to hand in. And I was like, oh my gosh, all of that, and I have no idea. I probably just took all that time and probably did a terrible job, and then I booked it. I was completely shocked. So I was like, oh, I remember thinking, are they sure? Yeah, so then I was already planning to move to LA at that point. I was going to LA 2 weeks later, moved to LA, and that's and I was on the on-camera world in LA, and same thing happened. My on-camera agent in LA sent me an audition for Star Wars: The Old Republic and the game, and I ended up booking that. Even to his shock, he said, so they want you to come in and read for this. And I said, what does that mean? I said, did I book it? And he said, yeah, you should get a voiceover agent. The way he was saying it was so funny. He just seemed because I think he knew more than I knew at that time how difficult it was, right? And to book something in Star Wars isn't, for somebody who didn't really know what they were doing. And then the rest is history. And then at one point I stopped doing on camera, and I just I loved voiceover so much, and I'd always loved it. And I really started training in it and putting in all the work. And then I just decided, you know what? I think just being in voiceover is what serves me the best in all aspects of my life. And that's how I kind of transitioned into voiceover full time.
It's always great when your representation or your coaches are surprised that you were good.
I know.
I had this experience last
he was
night.
cheering you on, but he's like, this rarely happens. I don't want to set a false precedent here,
Yeah, the tone of his voice. They want you to come in and read for this. What is? And he didn't say so. They want to book you. They want you to come in and read for this. I'm like, does that mean I booked it? He said, yeah. So yeah, exactly. But
Yeah, it's funny. I had a very similar experience with a coaching session just this week. Mutual friend Jeff Howell I was working with.
Yeah.
And I did this read, and he said, I actually really like that. And I was like, well, don't sound so surprised, Jeff. Come on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Question mark?
Oh, that's funny.
That's really
Sorry,
funny.
I expected you to fail. What can I say?
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Act.
So we talked about the genres that you've done in your bio, but what would you describe as the ones you do the most and your favorites?
So promo is definitely at the top of the list as far as what I do the most, I would say. And then video games. Those are probably the top two genres that I work in the most. And probably are my favorites, I guess that says something for, something that you enjoy doing. And I carved out a path for those things specifically, because there's a certain amount of work that goes into getting yourself into different genres, right? You can't just one day say, yeah, I kind of want to work in this. You have to put in the work. I need to coach, and I need to, dive into that world and see what it's all about. So, yeah.
And how do you feel, we talked about this in the bio too, but how do you feel being a woman who's booking in the industry has changed over the years, and do you think it's going to increase, or are you keeping it all for yourself?
There are a few of us, but the funny thing is as far as promo and trailer goes, there's a few of us in that world, and a few women, I should say. Mm-hmm. And it's really, it's wonderful. And I think that's part of the joy and because it was a particular challenge, and it is such a niche category. And when I first started training in voiceover, they basically said, when we were taking classes and they were talking about all the different genres, they said, promos really basically 5 men do all the promos. So you probably don't really need to worry about training in promo. And I just sort of made a mental note of that. And then as the years went on, I wanted to work in promo, and I knew there were women working in promo, and I made that a challenge for myself. So it feels really good to get to work in it and to keep working in it. And the more I work in it, the more comfortable I feel, and the more I understand how to adapt to different promos and just understand the promo world itself. Trailer. So I do feel like there's going to be more. I feel like promo is something that's really grown in the last few years for female voiceovers and voiceover talents. And I feel like trailer has gone in up and down. I feel like there's been some moments, and then all of a sudden I've noticed the last few months, and other female voiceover colleagues of mine and that work in trailer have noticed as well, that it's just been a little bit lighter in that area. But I also think the industry itself is in a place of flux where they, a lot of these trailer houses are just trying to get the job as well. They're trying to pitch and get the job. Everybody's working to get that job. And so I don't think it's necessarily that it's specifically pulled back in that area for women as much as things are changing in general. And it might be a little of both, But to quickly answer your question, to put a button on this to say, yes, I do think there's going to be more women, and I hear more women on things, and I love hearing more women doing, sports promos and things like that. I love it.
Us too. More of that, please.
Yes.
But so you touched on adaptability when you're in your last answer, and I want to kind of expand on that. Do you find that the different genres that you do they have any kind of stylistic differences in performance?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the genres themselves, like promo and commercial, are very different. You can have your reads be more grounded, of course, and you want to have a sense of groundedness and a natural feel to it with promos, but you still need to be able to emphasize certain things. Where commercial, you really want to pull back even more and be as just grounded, and they want that conversational tone. I mean, we see it all the time, right, in our auditions constantly. And then, of course, video games have also become more theatrical. So that's something where it's really fun to go in there and feel like you're acting in a movie almost, right? But then you have the efforts and things like that. So there's definitely learning curves to everything. And then animation has its learning curve, and the world of animation and the casting directors, and each of these different genres has their different nuances and their different kind of groups of people that run everything. It's nice to sort of know your way in and out of these things. But yes, I feel like if you're going into something, or narration, anytime you're learning something new, they all have a different feel, a different cadence, different vibe.
What's the best way to get to that vibe if you're not already working in it, but you want to? Like you said, when you first started looking at promo, you probably had to take some specific steps to tackle that genre. What's the best way to do that in the genres in which you work?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're not working in it, so if you're already in voiceover, I mean, the first thing you want to do is work with some coaches, take some classes. I mean, group classes, private coaching, they're both great. The nice thing about group classes is you learn from other people, or when you take workshops, you're hearing the direction to somebody else, and sometimes it's easier to see, oh yeah, I see what they did there. It's easier to hear that change if you're in a group class. But obviously there's, an upside to private coaching. So I definitely think coaching, listening, go listen to different rosters, the promo talent, if promo is what we're talking about specifically right now, or animation, whatever it might be, go to Atlas's website, or, SBV, DPN, whatever. These agencies where there are a lot of respected actors, go listen to their demos. Go listen to how they do it. Listen to TV. I constantly am listening to, I think it's even subconsciously, right? I'll hear things and I sort of think about it as I'm walking, like, I note how they do things. I note how the pharmaceutical spots are sounding and how this promo sounds. And if somebody made a unique choice, I'm like, ooh, I like what they did there. That was pretty cool. Just, yeah, listening and expanding so that you now can detect this is what this is. And then you have to work on it yourself. You have to be able to now do that yourself. And you have to get to a point where not only are you getting better at it when somebody else is directing you, but you want to be able to direct yourself, right? We're all doing auditions in our booths by ourselves all the time. So it's all about self-directing.
Yeah, and then get over that chip on your shoulder that I have sometimes still when I hear something I know I auditioned for, and I'll think, damn it, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. Like, I should have done that. Yeah. Yeah.
Or more often than not, it's like God damn it, John Hamm. How am I going to compete with John Hamm on a
I know.
voiceover?
They actually went with the celebrity reference?
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, in those cases, sometimes it makes you feel good because you're like, okay, well, what am I going to do, right? I'm not going to be able to compete against John Hamm. If they wanted a celebrity, that's out of my hands.
Yeah, my favorite instance of that is the Jersey Mike's ads that are out now. For years, I was getting those auditions, literally years, looking for the voice of Jersey Mike's. And then they hired Danny DeVito. And I was like, come on, it should have been Danny DeVito all along. How can you get mad at that?
So obvious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's so specific.
Yeah.
He's so specific. Yeah.
I absolutely love that response. So, I mean, at GVAA, we're always telling people, like, you need coaching, and you'd be amazed how many people avoid it for so long. It's like, I'm seeing this sort of, like, resounding echo of, like, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve I was like, well, how do you expect to get better? like, why struggle by yourself when there's, like, a litany of people who could help you and who want to help you if you show that you've got the ambition for it? So I don't know, it just seems backwards to me. And again, most people don't even think to listen or to be students of media, right? Like very often we're kind of just using the media influences we grew up with and trying to parrot those sounds, but that could be 20, 30, 40 years out of date. So,
oh, right. Yeah.
So I highly recommend people to do that. But early on, you mentioned that you came from teaching and you've actually recently begun performance coaching as well. How did that come about? And how would you describe your teaching style?
Interesting. Yeah. So you mean my coaching style as far as
that
goes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As far as voiceover? Yeah. It's kind of interesting because I didn't necessarily consider that something I would plan to do anytime in the near future. At least a couple years ago, I was like, that wasn't really on my radar. And I'm like everybody else I think a lot of coaches come into this where they think, depending on if they're also performers, you're just sort of, hey, I'm still trying to work on myself and trying to book and do all these things, right? So I'm like, why? I can't teach somebody. I don't have anything to offer. And then I was on a panel for That's Voiceover. That was when I first realized that just even telling my story was helpful. And I remembered that I too, when I was getting into voiceover, or even now, hearing how people go about getting where they got, where they are now, is really interesting and fascinating. And people want to learn those things and want to know. And so I realized then that maybe I did have something to offer as far as that goes, but I still wasn't really coaching yet. And then Richard Redfield actually approached me, and I'd taken some workshops with him, and I'd organized an all-female trailer workshop that I wasn't coaching. I just was I was in it as a participant as well. And then one day he said, how would you be interested in co-hosting with me? Like co-coaching, basically. And I thought, whoa, I don't have the credentials for this. And, and I was like, well, maybe, okay, you know what? Let's try it. Let's do it and see how it goes. And it was really great. And I enjoyed it so much. And I realized that I had a lot of thoughts on things. When it would come time for me to talk about somebody's read, I had a lot of thoughts on how to shift things, my own little tricks. I think that's something really cool that's come about in this when I'm coaching people, is that, they say how much you learn when you're a teacher, because I'm now dissecting all of the things that I do, maybe subconsciously. I'm dissecting how I do it so that I can now tell somebody else how to do those things or those little tricks.
You're externalizing your own process.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool. There's definitely moments where like this light bulb goes off. I'm like, oh yeah, I do that. And that is helpful. And it's just a way, because sometimes it can be hard to break things down into words, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something that you're doing when you're trying to help somebody else. So yeah, that's how it came about. And then I had people ask me about private coaching for a while before I actually started it. And then they just said basically, okay, well, put us on a list, and when you're ready, let us know. So I do it. I've really enjoyed it. It's on a bit of a limited basis, just because I'm busy, right? I don't have a ton of time in my week, but I feel like it's been a perfect amount, and I've really enjoyed it.
And Marie's great, by the way. I'm coaching with her right now, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Thank you. Yeah. We had so much fun in our session and working on everything, and I had some of those moments talking to you.
Yeah, those are the best.
We talked about things when we realized things like, yeah, you know what, you're right. When you really break this down, this is kind of what this is. Yeah.
I often have the realization when I'm talking to somebody that I didn't even know I knew that. It'll come out of my mouth, and I'll say, "Where did that come from? Where did I learn that?" And then I realize it's something that's actually I'm doing all the time. And like Sean said, you're breaking down your own process, or I would describe it as like distilling information that's already in your head that you didn't know was there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so great when it comes out in the right way. And it's just, it's an aha moment. Oh, yeah. La.
I'm good at this. And I'm making you good at this.
Yeah.
I'm great.
Well, I'm good at this. And also like, yeah, that's right. This is how I do that. And now that I've broken this down, I'm going to consciously use this more. Use my own method, you know?
There you go. Well, shifting gears a bit, again, because it's in your bio, but also because I share this experience. How do you manage being a parent and doing voiceover? Is it a good thing? Is it a struggle sometimes? What are the benefits and downfalls of it?
Yeah. I mean, for example, today, for everybody listening, I had to push our session a few minutes because I got a phone call from the school nurse, and I had to go pick up my son who wasn't feeling well. And so things like that happen. And you know, the great thing is Paul, I know you're a parent, and I knew you would understand. And what are you going to do, right? What are you going to do in those situations? And so it's been, honestly, it's for me, there might be times that it's hard. Now it's not. I have a grasp on it, and the kids are at school, and I sort of have my days arranged in a way that works. And it's perfect because I have this flexibility. So I still get to work doing something that I absolutely love, which I think is amazing to be able to share with my kids, to show them, hey, mom has a job that she loves, and it's so much fun, and I get to be creative and do all these cool things, right? I just think that's important because I think a lot of people end up in jobs where they're just sort of, you know, going through the motions. They don't necessarily love it, but I also have some flexibility. So I'm able to go help at the school and do those things. And, you know, there are times where some of the maybe the social side of voiceover, because our community is really great and there's things going on. I'm not able to do everything because I do. It's almost like I live in two different worlds. Right?
Yeah.
But I'm going home. Like, well, my kids have this weekend. We have this and this and this, and I can't do it all. And last year was the year I said, you know what? That's okay. I'm going to do what I can do, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. And any of my friends are going to understand and know that I can't be at everything, and it's not that I don't want to be. It's just not doable. So yeah, I feel like I don't even know. I don't feel like there's any downside because I feel like I've have the opportunity to have the best of both worlds. I have an amazing job that I love that gives me flexibility to go spend time with my kids at school, you know, and I have a family. So that's my take on it.
What was it like trying to juggle your past work before you were able to act full time with the family?
So I feel like my career really started taking off let's see here, before I had my first child. So I feel really grateful for that too. I definitely had years when I moved out to LA and I bartended and waited tables and I worked at every bar in LA, I feel like, and tussled, you know? And then there was a point where, it was probably 2012 when I was able to just say, hey, I think I can do voiceover full time now. I'm at this place now where enough work is coming in. And then it just sort of kept building from there. So yeah, so by the time I had my daughter, I was already working full time and I had full time clients. And I actually got in the booth a week after she was born.
Oh, wow.
And I had a C-section and everything, but it was at home and they were very nice about it, but it was clients that were sort of waiting. They knew. They're like, is Marie okay to come back? And, you know, and we started out with smaller sessions, but so if anything, the challenge was that I had clients that I really still wanted to be there for. But now I had this baby, and I definitely had to adjust to that schedule. But I'm very grateful that my career had already been established, you know, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
well, I can tell you it gets easier. You don't have to divulge your kids' ages, but I've talked on the show that I have all teenagers now. So I was very much like you in the early part of my voiceover career. I'd have to skip events. I could only do virtual conferences. But now that they're all teenagers and nobody wants to talk to me anyway, I'm all over the place. Just 2 weeks ago, I did a job in Boston because I could. I was taking my daughter back to college, and I said, sure, I'll do a job in Boston. What the heck? I applied for a job, for a live announced job in Miami. I'm going to Charleston in a few weeks. I'm all over the place now that they're teenagers,
man,
and it does get a lot cooler when they're older.
Yeah, and you don't feel guilty about, mine are in elementary school, so we're still right in the midst of all of the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I figure at some point they're going to get busy. And my husband travels a lot in his job. So I sort of need to be around to handle things when possible. There's definitely times when he and I have to go somewhere and we're like, okay, how are we going to work this? And
Yeah.
so.
Are the kids into voiceover at all? Are they performing?
Oh, yeah. So, yes. And they're in musical theater right now, which is an after-school program, and it's so great, and they love it, and that's really fun to watch them do that and enjoy that. But my daughter, who's the older of the two, she's been in voiceover, and she'll get auditions through my agent. They'll send auditions for the children of their clients.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really
I get
have
those a lot too.
Yeah, it's great. Like, they don't have a kids department per se, but they do that. So yeah, so it's not a ton of them, but it's enough because she's busy and I'm busy. So it's hard to, there are times when I'm like, okay, I have to have her come in for the audition, and then I'll realize like, oh crap, we forgot to do it. So, but she has done it, and she, we put a little money away in her account, and it's so fun because I feel like with voiceover, it's not about what they look like. It encourages reading, right? Being creative.
Yeah.
And I love that. And most of the things we can just do right from here in the booth. I've had to take her in for things sometimes, but it's great. I think it's such a cool thing for kids to be able to do. And honestly, there's got to be a good portion of people where kids in voiceover where their parents are in it, because I feel like most parents have no idea how to access that for their kids. You wouldn't
Yeah,
think
it's actually shockingly easy for them to get jobs when you're already in it. At least for my kids, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, all my agents were like, sure, we'll send them stuff. Happy to. We don't have any kids.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and to your point, I mean, like, you have to deal with all of the all of the protections for minors, and then of course they need to have a studio. Like, it just makes sense. I'm just like, easiest way to get your kids work, be a working talent.
Yeah.
Totally. There's so many little things. The parents around here that are interested, they'll ask me things, and if their kids want to do it, I've offered. I'm like, hey, if they want to come and they need to use my booth for anything, as long as I'm in a session, I'm super happy to let them. And they're my daughter's age. It's super, the cute little group of girls that are really interested in it. So, but again, yeah, it's having to. They know me, and they know that I know how to navigate that world a little bit.
A lot of it's just paralysis by analysis, though. So they just don't want to follow through with it. Like Sean was saying about not looking for coaching because they don't feel like they're ready or they don't know how. My nephew is really into voiceover, and my brother, like, weekly will say, hey, can you help out with stuff? And I'll say, yes. You know where my studio is. Come find me. We'll work on something. And he never calls me back. So a lot of it is just people who don't have the motivation, even though they think they do.
It is definitely, I have learned, as I'm sure you guys have too, when somebody comes like, hey, I'm really interested, I am so happy to share any information that I can. And I usually say, start here, start with the class, start with a group class, see how you like it, and then go from there. And then there's obviously there's a huge list of things, but at the end of the day, you need to like it. You're going to have to invest some money because you need to coach. You need to work to take, some coaching and workshops and things. And then you're going to have equipment. And, and that can change. And obviously once you start you start making more money, you raise the level and get better equipment and more expensive things and really invest in your career. But at the beginning, there's things you need to do. And I think the people that I've talked to about this that really put in the work and they're like, okay, and then they do it, I'm so happy to help them continue up that ladder. And I'm so happy to see them book something and finally get going. But there's so many people that once you tell them the work that has to be put in, they're like, oh, I was just hoping for sort of a little extra money on the side. I'm like, oh, yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, and granted, I had a lot of these misconceptions when I started over a decade ago, but it's just like you assume other people are more responsible for your success. Like, oh, I don't need my own equipment. I'll just go to a studio. I don't need to find jobs. I'll just get an agent. Well, guess what? You are your own agent and audio engineer. So like, you need to learn these things and you need to push yourself and be motivated. But I kind of wanted to touch on something with you sharing your experience. First off, I just love how open and what a role model you are for your daughter and her friends, just showing you, hey, this can be you. Like, you can find work that is like fulfills your soul and still be of value to your community. It's awesome. But another thing I noticed is that I'm like, granted, I'm not a parent, but I'm very grateful for the flexibility that this vocation gives me. And like you, though, it wasn't always the case. Like we had to work 12, 16, 18 hours a day to get to a point where we have a little bit more flexibility with our schedule. So it's just like people really don't understand how long it takes to get that sort of positive feedback loop of training, equipment, upgrading, and networking and all that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's just such a, a lot of things you can't, especially on the creative side, I guess. I don't know, the, acting and performing side of things, to dive in and all of a sudden you're working full time, and that's very rare for something like that to happen. You build your career, you learn, you get better, you build your resume, and people start to know who you are, and it takes time. It definitely takes time. I'm so glad I sort of was in that during that time is when I was like single and didn't have kids, and because it was such a hustle for a while there.
No, I've talked with parents who've been really discouraged because they were like, I only really have like an hour or two to dedicate to this, and I'm like, start there. Like you can't do what I did, so do what you can with what you have.
Exactly, do what you can do. Yes, exactly. I love that.
So changing gears a little bit. So you might know Paul and I are big fans of studio gear and probably have way more than we need, but we'd love to know what you're using in your booth.
Oh, yes. So I have a Sennheiser 416. That is my go-to mic. I love it. I love it. And I love traveling with it because it's so easy when I'm in a hotel room or something. It just doesn't pick up a lot of the extra room noise and things. So that is my go-to. That is what I pretty much use all the time. I do also have a U87 clone, Stam Audio U87 clone that I will use sometimes. And every once in a while I'm working on a project and they'll ask for that. They'll want me to use that mic instead. I have the Apollo Twin, but when I'm traveling, I have the Apollo Solo, and I just use Twisted Wave.
Nice.
I've always used Twisted Wave, and you know what? I freaking love it. And it's so simple, and I've never had to expand into Pro Tools or anything, and I know that other people do, and some people are really better at the engineering part than I am. So, but those are the things that work for me. I'm trying to think if there's anything.
What about your space? Are you open record? Are you in a booth?
I'm in a booth. I have a whisper room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I love it. It's like simple, sweet, high quality. Sounds really, really good. I'm curious about the Stam Audio clone, though. Was that referred to you, or you find it in your own research?
Yes, it was referred to me very back in the day. It was a while ago. Tim Friedlander had a connection with Stam Audio and was talking about this mic that was coming out. And so it was a great deal for a mic that was very similar to the U87. And so, yeah.
Do you know Tim from Seattle, or in person, or did you just meet him in the industry?
I met him in the industry, but he and I have so much in common. He's also we've got the Idaho connection, Seattle. There's all sorts of connections that Tim
Crazy.
and I have.
He's a Bellingham alum like I am, actually. It's nuts.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. I love Bellingham. Yep. Yeah, I didn't know that you were also that. Yeah, I lived in. So you were rooting for the Seahawks yesterday.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm not a huge sports ball person, but I'm happy for him.
Yeah. They did great. My husband is from Boston, so he was not so happy.
Not happy.
Not so happy, but Boston's definitely they've
had their fair share.
A good go.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure they'll have more. Yeah. Anyway, that's where I found out about that. Honestly, that's where I found out about a lot of things. Tim Friedlander and Jordan Reynolds are my people. They're my people that give me all the intel that I need.
I love them both. No, great resources.
So great. And
yeah, they've both been on the show several times. Love them both.
I love them, and they're such good friends, and they really make sure. I've just been like, tell me what I need. Tell me what I got to do. Just send it to me.
I'll write you a blank check.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Send me the links, and I'll do whatever. Right? Yeah, because I just I know that they've done all the research. Similar to you guys, I guess. I haven't, so I want the goods, and I want the good stuff. This I will say an interesting thing about the Sennheiser mic that I have. When I got this mic, I had been using a USB mic very early on, in my career, and I knew it was time to switch. And I was it was In Both Ears, because I had some regional agents before I was with Atlas, and then I had I'm trying to think if I still was with the on-camera agent that had the voiceover department. And that's where I met Ference Lasco, who is at SBV, and he and I still are great friends, but he was my first voiceover agent. So before all of that, I In Both Ears had said, I was doing some auditions, they're like, I think it's time to upgrade your mic. And when I listened back, oh my gosh, it was absolutely time. So I said, okay, I need to go get a mic. And I went to Vintage Audio in Echo Park, and they do the blind test, basically, where you go. I don't know. I probably you record the same line, but you use 8 different mics, and then you just go back and listen. You don't know what those mics are when you're listening back. And my ear was drawn to the Sennheiser 416, and that's the mic that I chose. And at that point, I didn't know that it was an industry standard mic. I knew nothing. I just picked that mic, and then and I've thought to myself, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that that's the one I happened to choose. So I've had it ever since. I've had it for so long. I probably need to I've thought about getting another one just to have for, just in case.
Yeah, it's an amazing mic. I've tried other ones trying to improve on perfection, but I just keep coming back to it.
Right? I know.
There's one way you can get a little bit of savings if you want to get like a backup. You can get a 416T, which is an older technology. It runs on what's called T-Power. You do need an adapter to adjust it to 48-volt phantom power, but you can usually find them for $300 to $400 less, or an MKH 415. It was the precursor to the 416. Sounds almost the same.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion, better. Usually has the same adapter issues, but you can usually get those for around $300 to $400.
Oh, that's great. Noted.
But anyway.
Noted. Thank you. Yeah,
So,
I thought to myself I should have one on hand because
you should always have a backup of some sort, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, Marie, believe it or not, we've been talking for over 40 minutes, and it's been an absolute pleasure. But we're coming to the end of our time together. Before we go, I wanted to hear your opinions on where you see the future of voiceover work. Do you think it's all doom and gloom with the AI machines coming? Do you think there's room still to carve out a niche? Where do you think this is all going?
Such a great question, right? The $1 million question. Personally, I feel like things are going to change, and we are going to have to adapt. Now, right now, we're in this place where authenticity is huge in our business. So, to me, I just feel like it is extremely inauthentic to have an AI voicing a commercial, right? Where they want, like the commercial, the product wants it to feel like it's your neighbor or your friend telling you to do this. And all of a sudden, if that's AI, I just feel like it's really not going to have the same impact. So I'm hoping that as far as that goes, that a lot of these corporations, products, even video games, whatever, will want the authenticity of having a human and to keep humans in work. Do I think that there's going to be some changes and some using AI as a tool? For sure. And I even think that there's going to be more AI for things like, e-learning and those kinds of things. I think are going to be the first jobs to go because it's usually, something that they keep within their business and they don't really need it to have necessarily that authenticity. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like AI in general is coming for almost every job. So it will be very interesting to see how we all adapt to that and what sort of regulations are in place. As we know, NAVA has been really going to bat for us and for humans, really, humans that have a voice, because if you have a voice, that means you have somebody can clone your voice and try to blackmail you or something like that, right? But there's not a lot of laws to prosecute if something like that happens. So I think we all share a responsibility for that. So that's sort of a long answer, but I think it's hard to know. I feel like it's going to be a combination of things happening.
Oh, great response. Yeah, I like to joke that by the time we are replaced by AI, we probably have much bigger problems to worry about. So.
Oh my gosh, good point. Yeah, I know, right? Mm-hmm. It's crazy and how fast that technology can change.
Yeah, hopefully regulation and litigation catches up.
100%. Agreed.
Well, Marie, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
It has been wonderful. So, how can people hire you if they want to work with you as a voice talent or a coach?
So, you can reach out to me. Probably my website's the best way, mariewestbrook.com. There's a little form in there that you can reach out, and I'll get that, and I can.
No E, by the way.
respond.
You want to spell your last? I'll spell it. WSTROOK.
Oh yeah, sorry. MariewestBrook.
I only say that because I grew up with a family who was Westbrook with an E in my
With
town.
an E at the end. Yes, no E at the end. Thank you for that. I'm also on Instagram is kind of the thing that I'm on more of. I have my public page on Instagram, but I don't always see things on there. I go in and out of the social media, where I'm on more and off sometimes. But yeah, so probably the best way is through my website. And from there, I also have my agent's contact information and all of that too. So there's a lot of ways to get a hold of me.
All right. Well, Marie, thanks again, and look forward to hearing from you again soon.
Thank you so much.
How many times has this happened to you? You're listening to the radio when this commercial comes on, not unlike this one, and this guy starts talking, not unlike myself.
Or maybe it's a woman that starts talking, not unlike myself, and you think to yourself, geez, I could do that.
Well, mister, well, missy, you just got one step closer to realizing your dream as a voiceover artist, because now there's Global Voice Acting Academy. All the tools and straight from the hip, honest information you need to get on a fast track to doing this commercial yourself.
Well, not this one exactly.
Classes, private coaching, webinars, home studio setup, marketing and branding help, members-only benefits like workouts, rate and negotiation advice, practice scripts, and more. All without the kind of hype you're listening to right now. Go ahead, take our jobs from us. We dare you.
Speak for yourself, buddy. I like what I do.
And you will too when you're learning your craft at Global Voice Acting Academy. Find us at globalvoiceacademy.com.
Because you like to have fun.
Thank you to Marie. I described her as one half the dynamic duo, and that's really unfair because she's a fantastic coach and voice actor on her own. She's better than Jack. I think he'll admit that.
All right, so who's Robin in this scenario?
But yeah, it was great to hear her experience and how she shifted from on camera, because that's always fun to hear people that are doing that. And I look forward to doing more work with Marie and hearing her everywhere.
Yeah, it was lovely having you on the podcast, Marie. If you're listening, thank you so much. I loved how you emphasized the importance of training and community and the example that you set for your daughter and her friends. That was so cool.
And I just want to say again, or maybe I haven't said this before, but I love how down-to-earth Marie is, and Jack, both of them.
I was going to say that. No, absolutely. I mean, they're in what you would definitely call an aspirational genre, doing the work that a lot of us want to do, but they are so humble about it.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned when we were doing the intro to Jax, it might be that he's from Philly, because we that are from there always have that chip on our shoulder and sort of maintain that no matter what happens. I'm thinking of Bradley Cooper in his Super Bowl commercials. He still has that sort of Philly attitude all the time. Or Rob McElhaney, or Rob Mack as he calls himself now, from It's Always Sunny and Welcome to Wrexham. We just kind of always maintain that attitude, and that's what I love about people from Philly. And then Marie, I think being from the Midwest is the same thing. Not that everyone from Hollywood has an attitude. There's plenty of people who don't, but in particular, I think the upbringings of Jack and Marie in their youth helps with that too.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, it's always refreshing to meet people who are just people and don't have big egos.
Yeah, I mean, those are my favorite people. With the song, people who don't have big ego. That's not right. I was trying to maintain the threshold and not have a copyright infringement when we hit YouTube too.
Gotcha. I was just going to say, like Lou Rawls said, don't need to deal with no jive folks no more.
Lou Rawls. I can't believe you just made a Lou Rawls reference.
We've been watching the Muppet shows.
I mean, totally non sequitur. I actually have seen Lou Rawls in concert.
What? I love that.
And I might have even met him, because I think I've mentioned my dad being a professional musician in the past. He used to be in Lou Rawls' orchestra often.
Really?
And he's one of the people I remember actually seeing on stage. And he used to often bring me backstage afterwards when I was a little kid and meet people. Like I met Jerry Lewis and Dom DeLuise. And I think Lou Rawls was one of those people too. But
that's too cool. Like Rachel will get a kick out of that. Or like, guy just exudes jazz, you know?
Yeah. I'm often thinking about doing Lou Rawls for karaoke, except the fact that I think it'll fly over most people's heads. They'll be like, who is that? Like, what is that song?
Oh, come on. You'll never find.
That's the one, yeah. So if we meet at a conference next time, you might hear me doing some Lou Rawls and karaoke. I don't know, why are we still talking about this? This is ridiculous.
I'll be expecting it. I don't know.
But anyway, I think that wraps up this episode of the VO Meter.
Measuring your voiceover progress.
We're efforting to get our next guest lined up for the spring, and you'll know when we do, and look to hear from us then.
Stay tuned for that one. You'll hear us in the next one.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the VO Meter. To follow along, visit us at www.vometer.com.
We'd also love to hear your comments or suggestions for the show. Or if you have a questionable gear purchase, tell us all about it on our Facebook page or on Twitter at the VO Meter.